Well, we want our pets to live long, healthy lives. They're members of our family. And this morning, Dr. Nikki Eaton, a veterinarian at the Animal Hospital of Polaris, a regular guest with us here on Good Day Columbus, has some expert advice on how to go about doing that. So, is it true that some dogs actually age faster than others?
Yes, and it actually has to do with their size.
Really?
So, the giant breeds, the dogs that are Great Danes, Rottweilers, will actually age a lot faster than the little poodles or the Bichons.
Interesting. Okay. Now, is it true about the dog years? What is it, one?
Per 7, yes. So if your dog is 1 year old, in human years it's about 7. It's the best generalization that we can come up with.
Okay.
So what we do is we know that for Great Danes or for larger dogs like Rottweilers, we usually call them a senior about 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
And then the Bichons and the poodles, sometimes we'll say about 8 or 9 years old when they become seniors.
Okay, so obviously as they mature, taking care of them changes. And one of the things that we need to keep an eye on is food. And not just the amount, but what kind of food.
Exactly. So when you have a kitten or a puppy, you feed a kitten or a puppy food. And then usually when they turn about 1, you do an adult maintenance food. And then when they're about 7 years old, you should be talking to your veterinarian about a mature or a senior food for them, because it has decreased fat content and decreased protein. And sometimes with the cats, we need the decreased protein, and the dogs and the cats, we need the decreased fat.
And that's why when you go to the store, you see the food labeled, you know, kitty food, adult, mature.
Exactly.
That's why. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes.
What about the most common disease in senior dogs?
Senior dogs, some of the most common diseases that we see is actually a low thyroid, so that can cause overweight, skin problems. We also see obesity, dental disease, and of course arthritis, especially with our bigger dogs. But even our smaller dogs, we see a lot of arthritis.
And is that the same for cats as well? Same
cats, we can see arthritis, we can see dental disease, but they actually get an overactive thyroid, or it's called hyperthyroidism.
And all of these things, though, are treatable to kind of help them, right?
Definitely, and that's why we always say when your pet becomes a senior, you should be going to your veterinarian at least twice a year. And that's because they age so much faster. We want to pick up on these disease processes so we can treat them accordingly.
And there's a certain test that can be done, or just all kinds of tests?
All kinds of tests, blood work, urine tests, x-rays if needed. So all of those things are out there so we can have the pet live longer.
What kind of behavior changes can we expect to see as our dogs get older? How do we know, you know, when they're starting to reach that senior age?
So some of the things that we see, and I always tell people it's not necessarily normal, and people will say, well, I just thought that they were getting older, is things like not coming to greet you. Sometimes that can be signs of cognitive dysfunction that we see in older dogs. Cats, sometimes we see that they're not jumping up on the counter like they used to, and people are thrilled because they're like, oh wow, they're learned.
Finally off the table.
And I'm trying to say, no, they haven't learned. They're probably in pain, and they probably have some arthritis going on.
Oh, so great idea to keep an eye on your pets. Thank you so much, Dr. Nikki Eaton from the Animal Hospital of Polaris.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Lisa, over to you.
All right, let's get you to first